Here we have a trig equation to solve, and I see that I have the same function as far as cosine in both terms, but I notice that the argument, that's the angle, one is a 2x and one is an x. So I'm going to use an identity and express this first term in terms of just cosine x. So I'm going to use the double angle identity. Cosine of 2x equals 2 cosine squared x minus 1. That's just the double angle identity, the form that uses just cosine. And then I still have minus cosine x equals 0. Now I'm going to see about factoring this, so I'm going to put it in descending order on powers of cosine. So it's going to be 2 cosine squared x minus cosine x minus 1 equals 0. So I'm going to make my two sets of parentheses and factor that. If it's hard for you to see the factors, you can replace the trig function with a u and factor that first if it's easier to see. I'm going to just do it with the cosine in it. To get 2 cosine squared x, I need 2 cosine x and cosine x to multiply together to give me that first term. To get a negative last term, I need 1 plus and 1 minus, and to get a 1, that's going to both have to be a 1. But where do the plus and minus go? Well, I need the middle term to be negative, so I need to put the negative over here so that the outers are negative 2 cosine x and the positive here, so inner is plus cosine x, and I'll get the correct middle term of negative cosine x. Now I'm going to use the zero factor property that says when you multiply two factors together and they equal 0, either the first factor has to equal 0 or this factor has to equal 0. So cosine x minus 1 has to equal 0. Now I am going to solve each of these for cosine x. So in the first one, cosine x equals negative 1/2. And in the second one, cosine x equals 1. Now I didn't put this, but we were supposed to find all solutions on the interval from 0 to 2 pi. So I need to think, when is the cosine of x negative 1/2? And I think of the unit circle, and cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. And the x needs to be smaller than the y when I plot this, and so they need to be in those two positions. So it looks like x needs to be 2 pi thirds for one solution and 4 pi thirds for another. Now looking at the second equation, when is the cosine x 1? And that's just right here at 0. So here we have our three solutions to this original trig equation.